The best game is whichever one you think is the best. There, video done. That's the obvious answer anyway. I mean, video games are just as subjective as any other medium, and we all expect different things out of the titles we experience. That said, when it comes to the Persona series, there are things each game individually does great on their own. Themes, gameplay, story, characters, villains, all these things are what gives Persona its identity, but which game excels the best in each respective category? That's the million-dollar question we're aiming to answer in today's video. So the main things we'll go over are story, gameplay, themes, characters, music, and aesthetics. Aesthetic here means the overall style between the UI and general presentation. Since rating every game on their own in detail would result in basically a mini review of every game, we'll try to keep this concise and not go over every single thing. Of course, this is just my opinion of the series in general, so I'd love to see what your own list would look like in the comments section down below. With that said, let's get this show on the road. The most important part of basically any JRPG is the story, and surprisingly for how long Persona has been around, they really haven't made a bad story. If you ask me, I'd say Persona 4 Arena Ultimax probably has the weakest, but even that game has some good things going for it. This video, for the sake of my sanity, is only going to be going over the 6 mainline games. Yes, 6, we're actually going to be doing the older games as well. So Persona 1's story is actually really good and quite possibly the most underrated in the series. I see even less people talk about Persona 1 than Persona 2, which is crazy to me considering how much stuff this game gets right. The themes are as Persona as it gets with the Be Your True Mind subtitle, and the Seaback route is absolutely amazing. I'm not a very big fan of the Snow Queen route, but it's whatever since the Seaback route is all I'm really there for anyways. That route revolves around Maki and another world, and I can't say too much without spoiling it, but it's a literal fever dream in the truest sense of the word, and it honestly made me way more emotional than I thought it would. By the end of the game, I had been pleasantly surprised by a great story with a great message. But can I really say it's my favorite story? I don't know about that. I mean, it's up there, but I just don't feel comfortable saying this has my favorite story in the series. So if it's not this one, what about Persona 2? Well, Persona 2 is kind of cheating since it's a duology, but between Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment, I'd have to say Eternal Punishment is my favorite of the two. And believe it or not, it actually is my favorite story in the series. Something about Eternal Punishment is actually special. Maybe I have a bit of recency bias since it was the last mainline Persona game I completed, but even after several months, this game has withstood the test of time. Before Persona 2, I probably would have said Persona 3 or Persona 5 just in terms of pure story, but this game from start to finish just kept getting better and better. And that ending, bro, that ending was by far one of the most memorable endings I've seen to a game. It was just, I don't even know. I don't want to drag this out too long, like I said, so if you want to hear more about my feelings on it, you can peep the top right of the screen now to see my review. But all I gotta say is this game's story was absolutely goated and easily earns its spot as the best Persona story of all time. If only the gameplay held up just as well. For some people, the gameplay is the most important part of these games, and I can totally understand why. I mean, they ain't called video games for nothing. I'ma just cut to the chase and say for me, when it comes to mainline, my favorite games in the gameplay department are between Persona 5 Royal and Persona 3 Reload. Now before my old Sona homies or whoever get mad at me for being a quote-unquote new gen scrub, just hear me out. I actually do kind of like the gameplay of Persona 1 and 2, and hell, even for Persona 3 Fest, I can at least respect that game for trying to do something different. But if I want to just sit back, relax, and play a Persona game nowadays, I'm choosing Royal or Reload. These games, while very easy, like really fucking easy, are so satisfying to play. You got limitless options between Theurgy, Persona traits, Persona Fusion, and a wide variety of different party members to use. Both of these games have given me tons of joy, but if I had to choose one, it would be Persona 5 Royal. The thing about Reload that holds it back is just the dungeons. I guess some people like Tartarus, and I'll admit they made it a good bit more fun to explore in Reload, but it wasn't that drastic of a difference. Royal, on the other hand, has these vast dungeons and the palaces that were just infinitely more fun to go through than any other dungeon that came before it. That on top of the traits, Persona fusing, overworld movement, confidant abilities, and hell, just confidants in general, it was an unforgettable experience. The only major thing I don't like about Royal's gameplay, bar the difficulty, is mementos. It serves a great purpose in terms of story, and I like how it was implemented, but gameplay wise, it was just as boring as the dungeons that came before it, if not more boring. Other than that, I think this game's gameplay is damn near perfect for what it is. Tons of options, good skill animations, dungeons, I mean, what more really needs to be said? By the way, the actual best gameplay in the series is Persona 4 Arena, but y'all ain't ready for that discussion. Now, this is actually what makes Persona what it is, because every game has a different theme for the most part. Persona 1 is Be Your True Mind, Persona 2 is Sin and Punishment, Persona 3 is Death and Depression, Persona 4 is Pursuing Your True Self, and Persona 5 is Rebellion. All of them contribute to the overall message of the series well, but if y'all know me, there's only two possible choices. Persona 1 or Persona 4, and since I'm a P4 glazer, you already know I'm leaning toward that. This is probably the most subjective part of the entire video, but I've always seen Persona 1 and 4 as the quote-unquote most Persona the games have ever been because of the themes. Even in games where the main focus isn't totally on accepting yourself, like P3 with death being the main theme, it still has that aspect of accepting yourself. That's just how the series is, hence why Persona 1 and 4 are the most Persona to me. P1, while doing this very well, did not do it as well overall as P4. Something else that makes something what it is today's sponsor, Figgies. Now before y'all skip ahead, because I know how sponsors are viewed nowadays, this is something I think y'all will actually think is cool and I'm happy to share it. Figgies are basically a way to collect for your favorite series in a way that won't break the bank. They're collectible magnets with double-sided metal back plates, and you can stick them wherever you want. Shelves, fridges, anything like that are a great place to put them. They release new Figgies waves every week, and all I'm gonna say in that regard is to stay on the lookout for some juicy stuff, you know what I'm saying? They even have an app where you can log the Figgies you have as a game and collect them alongside other people. It's a pretty dope thing if you're looking for some nice, affordable collectibles, so if you're interested in learning more about Figgies, feel free to check the link at the top of the description to sign up with my unique code. You get access to the first drops and a cheeky 5% discount code, so you don't want to miss out on that. Now, let's get back to the topic at hand. The best character in P1 is obviously Maki. She's one of the most well-written characters in the series, but she alone can't carry the entire experience. In P4, however, throughout the entire experience, every character actively contributes to that theme in a way that is both interesting and unique. Kanji's fear of being into girly things, Naoto's shame of being a girl, Rise not knowing whether to be an idol or not, so on and so forth are what made me invested in this game, more so than the murder mystery itself, because I think the main story of Persona 4 is fucking ass. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy it obviously, but for me, I don't play Persona 4 for the murder mystery at all. It's my least favorite main story in the series. That said, the theme of accepting yourself was done the best in this game across the main cast and social links in my opinion, so it's 100% the best mainline game in terms of themes for me. Persona 3 is a really close second since death and depression are things absolutely everyone has to face someday, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't connect more with Persona 4, just how it is. So with how much I glaze Persona 4 and its themes, the characters, all that, you'd probably think that game has my favorite characters as well, right? They all contribute to the theme, so that makes sense, but actually no. When it comes to the characters, Persona 3 actually has my favorite individually. I think Persona 3, even more so than Persona 2 or Persona 4, which I love a lot, has the best written characters. Some of the best written characters in Persona history are in this game. Yukari, Junpei, Fuka, yes Fuka, don't play with me, Aigis are all characters I would put in the top 10 or very close to it. All of the character arcs in this game are just extremely satisfying. Even characters I didn't care for initially like Mitsuru or Akihiko grew on me a lot once I thought about it and did another playthrough. I think having the Persona Awakenings be a part of the main story instead of the social link is in big part why I feel this way. In terms of Persona 4 and 5, I think that's a pretty big fumble, I'm not gonna lie, but I do get why they did it that way, so I'm not gonna complain about it too much. If it weren't for the fact that Persona 3's story is kinda slow-paced up until October and beyond, I would have considered putting it as even my favorite story, but alas, that was not meant to be. I don't hold that too harshly against the game though, since it was their first game in figuring out what to do with the calendar system. Without going into in-depth spoilers, it's a bit hard to talk about why I love these characters so much, but I'll put my character analysis playlist at the top right of the screen now if you're interested in hearing more about my thoughts on the characters individually. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, putting music as a criteria was probably a mistake, because this is nigh impossible to choose one particular game. Even separate versions of each mainline game have banger OSTs, like PSX Persona 1, Persona 3 Portable, literally every game in the franchise has good music. It's in large part what has given the franchise its identity up to this point. I guess if you put a gun to my head, no Persona 3, and said I have to choose only one, I would choose Persona 4. Truth be told, I do like Persona 5's a bit more on average, but P4 has my favorite songs in the series. Your Affection, Signs of Love, The Almighty, Fog, Heaven, Pursuing My True Self, Backside of the TV, I'll Face Myself, I mean the list just goes on and on. It is 2 discs of pure peak to the earlobes, and I feel like I'm literally ascending to heaven when I listen to them. The music is in large part what makes this game what it is. You know, that oddly happy and optimistic murder mystery game. And without it, it's just not the same. Just a banger OST, and it's gotta be my favorite for sure. The final topic for today's discussion is the general aesthetic of the games, so the UI and stuff like that. For me, it's obviously between Reload and Royal, and if you asked me this a few months to a year ago, I would have said Reload for sure, but after doing another Royal playthrough, it's just gotta be that game for the aesthetics, dude. Literally everything about this game is breathtaking. It has my favorite UI, the setting of Shibuya adds to the game beautifully, the lighting is kinda rough in some places but charming all the same, dungeons are visually distinct, skill animations are on point, I mean I can't give this game enough praise. Every moment to this game is like a kid in a candy store for your eyes. And sure, you can definitely say the same for Reload, and hell, most other games in the series for that fact, but P5, man, this game just holds a special place in my heart. It's the game that made me fall in love with the series after all, so I feel more than comfortable saying it's my favorite game aesthetically. When I first played this game on my PlayStation 4 and I saw the game chilling on that rooftop on a rainy day during the Kamoshida arc, I knew I was in for an unforgettable experience. A masterclass in aesthetics that set the bar extremely high for this series and other series as well, so it's gotta be the best. Nuff said. So based on this totally not arbitrary set of criteria, what is definitively and 100% factually the best Persona game in the franchise? Let's get a drum roll please, let's make this dramatic. Keep going just a little longer for more dramatic effect. Bam! It's gotta be both Persona 4 and Persona 5. Well, having a tie is a bit anticlimactic, so let's just say Persona 4 wins. Why is that? Because I'm a Persona 4 glazer, y'all know the drill, baby? All jokes aside, I do kind of like Persona 5 and 4 equally. Depending on the day and mood, I might say one is better than the other since they're both equally important to me. But more importantly than that, what would you say is the best Persona game in each respective category? Feel free to drop your own list down in the comments section below. And remember to check out Figgy's in the description if you're interested. It's seriously something I think is awesome and you all will enjoy it a lot. That's about all I gotta say for this video. It's been your boy Yandere Gogeta, drop a like and a sub if you enjoyed our discussion here today, and take this luxurious cookie with you on your way out. Here you go, homie. Peace out everybody, and have a great day.